when I was at school, there was this band called the KLF. Well, I found out about it when I was at school, and they were formed by Bill Drummond and Jimmy Cauty. And there's something really cool about, well, many cool things about the KLF. You're probably known for songs like What Time Is Love, 3am Eternal, and Last Train to Transcentral. They were like the big hits. Actually, talking about hits, I think they never had a song that didn't get in the top 10. I think most of them got in the top 5, and they were that successful, they actually wrote a book called The Manual, How to Get a #1 Record. And if you follow the steps in this book called The Manual, and you didn't get #1, they would actually give you the money back for the book, or they said they would anyway. But like I say, that's where I very first found out about him, and I instantly connected to him, even though Bill Drummond and Jimmy Cauty had been knocking around for years before that, like managing different bands. Like Bill Drummond managed Echo and the Bunnymen, and Jimmy Cauty painted an Athena poster for like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So even they were getting years before I knew who they were. And then I got into him, you know, for stuff like that. And they were on the Brit Awards famously. And I remember at the time, it pains me to say, they were with like a metal band. And I was like, oh, they've ruined the song. It was like with Extreme Noise Terror. They did a really kick-ass version of 3am Eternal, which I love now. And that was another great thing about the KLF. They were like a big stew almost. He mixed all kinds of music together, like dance music and rap and country, all these different styles. But anyway, it all came to a head in July 1992, and it's perfectly summed up by this great article, Who Killed the KLF? And I remember at the time thinking like, oh, what's going on here, like kind of thing. And they did something what like hardly any musicians have ever done. They purposely deleted all their songs. I think they even burnt the master tapes, and they basically quote unquote disappeared from the music industry. But one amazing thing about the KLF is keep just appearing or popping up in different places, and like you might just be listening to like a piece of music and think that just reminds me of the KLF. But before I go on to the more recent sort of stuff, this is some of the sort of things that got me into the KLF. This is they were known by loads of different names, and this is kind of what made me realise the KLF did stuff like this, which was the Justified Inches and Moo Moos, also known as the Jams, and they're perfectly summing up that it was the KLF. This is a kind of weird, depressing dance song that mentions loads of places up north. I know they mentioned Crewe as one of the places and things like that. But there's about 60 places on here. It'd be funny just take a picture in all these different places. It'd be kind of like a really cool Make-A-Wish project. This is one of my favourite items of all time. It was the American version of What Time Is Love, import cassette. Like, that isn't cool enough if you're a geek. It's actually signed by Glenn Hughes of Deep Purple fame. When I saw him at Lotus Records, I think I got proper starstruck, because I knew he'd worked with the KLF. I can't barely remember where I asked him now. I think I was like, you were that good. I should have said, did you hear about the Black Album? What was going on with that? Where did it go? And when I was saying about the KLF mixing all different kinds of music together, this has got Tammy Wynette on it, country music legend. And even though I love Tammy Wynette and I love the KLF, anytime I hear the song, I'm always like, they got Tammy Wynette sing about an ice cream van and moo moos. Actually, that was I think worth mentioning. The KLF was so cool. I think one of the few dance music bands that have ever done this, where if you watch all the videos in sequence, they've mentioned like the moo moos, and as the videos get later on, they say about the moo moo world being destroyed and the moo moos are going to be extinct, like kind of leading into like, you know, them leaving the music business and stuff like that. This is not strictly KLF, but again, I think worthy of a mention. It's Ricardo De Force. He used to rap on a lot of KLF songs, and I know they guested with a lot of regular people like P.P. Arnold and things like that. But that's a good song. Does the cardinal sin of rap music by mentioning the year in the song, so it's really dated. And then you get into more recent stuff, saying like, I think this keyed me into looking for the KLF or Bill Drummond and Jimmy Cauty in different places. But this is F the Millennium by 2K. And it actually says here, this record was produced by the artist formerly known as the Justified Ancients of Moo Moo. Like the songs done by like a brass band and stuff like that. So that again, that keyed me into that, like say, looking for him. I said there's a really good song called Looking for the KLF, so there's another one to check out. Nothing to do with the KLF as far as I know. But when I very first heard this song, I just thought to myself, I think it's on the radio or something like that, and I was like, that's got KLF written all over it. when I actually brought it and looked inside the credits, I saw it said Cauty, so I was like, oh well, there we go, it's definitely KLF. But can you believe, like, fast forward all these years later to 2016, and this should lead in perfectly to where I saw the KLF in Stoke-on-Trent. Roll VT. I was just walking into Hanley, which I have every right to do, and can you believe, right in the middle of Hanley is a Jimmy Cauty art installation. Jimmy Cauty was in one of my favourite bands with Bill Drummond, the KLF, and if you look through the eyepieces you see a model of a Riot going on. It's all throughout this big box, so let's take a look. I knew it was somewhat KLF related though when I saw these things. It's very KLF-y, and somebody actually wrote KLF here. And I know Jimmy Cauty's so smart that if you look through these different eyepieces, you see different parts of the Riot. I'm surprised if there's a little bit of a story going on if you look in the right places. Look through there. Some dead cows on the floor. Were they the moo-moos? Oh, this is one thing that's really good. They've left everybody pens to write down your own message, so you can just write, you know, cool stuff. You can all just join in and things like that. Let's take a quick look round every side. Well, that's quite cool there. Bill Drummond was here, it says up there. May as well just, take a look at the last side quick. Good night, Hanley. We love you, and keep it locked.